Okay, so here we are. Teased it on the show all this week. Here he is, the legendary Ralph Bakshi. Hi, Ralph. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm a little tired, but I'm okay.
Okay, so we're here for Wizards. 35 years later. Reflect on Wizards.
Well, first of all, let me just say that I'm shocked to be here 35 years later with Wizards. It was very low budget at the time, and um, it's amazing to think that the film has lasted so many generations. My reflections on Wizards was that I loved doing it at the time. I was loved fantasy. I was very happy making it, and I made the film I wanted with Fox. No one interfered with any part of it. Um, and 35 years later, people still like the film and or love the film, and it makes me feel decent. It makes me feel like it was worthwhile. So that's a good feeling.
Yeah, I gotta say, I gotta tell you a personal story about me. When I saw Wizards first time in a movie theater, I was 4 or 5 years old. I didn't get it. I liked the animation and everything. As I kept watching it later, I got it, and it has to be my collection. Now the Blu-ray has to be my collection also. What inspired the story behind Wizards?
Well, the thing that inspired the story behind Wizards was the same thing that inspired my other films. First the Cat, Coonskin, First the Cat, Hey Good Looking. I was trying to get my feelings down, my personal feelings down about what was going on in the world and in my mind at the time. And certainly at that time, uh, I was very much into I wanted to do a fantasy film because my hardcore city films had caused so much problems for me and my family. I thought it best to change the tone of what I was doing, which or the subject matter, without changing the ideas. In other words, I didn't go into a fairy tale a la Disney, where I would be talking to the kids on a level that wasn't educational to them, let's say, on real ideas. So it allowed me to talk about my ideas: war, peace, religion, technology, bad technology, versus good people suffering from technology. The atom bomb is bad technology. Fascism. How you got to keep fighting to keep fascism down. So these are all very adult ideas that I was able to talk to kids about.
Yeah, that's actually what I liked about, even if I didn't quite understand it back then. But that's what I liked about Wizard is that people actually died. In the Disney, except for Bambi's mom, but in the Disney cartoons, nobody really dies or gets hurt or anything. It's always a happy story. Wizard, it doesn't start off very happy, and that's what I liked about it. It actually spoke to me, like I said, even back then, at 4 or 5 years old. That's what I liked about Wizards.
Well, you know, kids as kids. It's not their fault. They're young, but kids are very bright. It's at that point of their lives that they're learning. They're searching for ideas, even if they don't know it. And it's the reason so many people are stupid today is because all this stuff is sold to these kids, and basically it's sold so they'll buy something. I wasn't selling anything except ideas. You at 4 or 5 are already bright. Because I say you're bright, and your mind is forming to be bright. So it'd be a shame on my part to talk down to you. That's like hurting you. I'm not Frankenstein. You're not Frankenstein to me. In other words, you know. So I'm a great, and the kids that don't get it will get it eventually or feel it. So I'm not surprised at your feelings. I'm not surprised at your feelings. And Disney. Well, that was my anger about Disney. He was always merchandising his stuff and always talking down to kids, and everything was happy and pleasant with him. When the world is not a happy and pleasant place, you've got to prepare kids for the world. You got to prepare them for the problems that they're going to face. You can't hide them because they're out there. I think Wizards prepares a lot of young kids for what the possibilities might be when Jiminy Cricket's not around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in fact, not it wasn't a Disney movie or a Disney-fied movie, but it was how hard was it to sell the studio on what you wanted Wizards to be?
Well, I got a big mouth. First of all, the guy that bought it wasn't the guy that was there when I released it. I wish he was. He would have done much better with it. The guy that bought the picture, who ran Fox, wanted to make a Bakshi picture. He called me up. That's pretty unusual in Hollywood. So I walked in and told him I wanted to make, and he was already stuck because he had called me. You got to say, yeah, he loved it though. So in this particular case, I was asked by the head of a studio to make a Bakshi film. So I made Wizard. So I didn't have any problem selling it. It was a slam dunk, and I was very lucky.
Yeah, the fact that he got it by even calling it a Bakshi film, so he knew what he was getting into.
Yeah, he knew what he was getting into, because at that time I was getting into stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you've always said also that you intended Wizards to be a trilogy. You talked about doing a Wizards 2. Do you want to, or do you think we'll ever see the third one also?
You'll see Wizards 2 and 3. I am determined now, because of the Blu-ray and the wonderful attitude on Fox, and the wonderful support that Fox has given me today, and the wonderful job they did on the Blu-ray. There's a book in there, a beautiful art book in the Blu-ray CD package that they're giving away with the Blu-ray. There's a great poster. That's all big effort on Fox's part. I can't believe they're doing that, not to do Wizards 2 and 3. Now, I own the rights to Wizards. I'm hoping Fox does it very, very badly. I think they will.
Yeah, especially, like you said, releasing the Blu-ray now, it's going to get a whole new generation. Like, hey, I like this. I want to see more. And as long as shows like this, and now with the internet and everything, and speaking of technology and everything, today's animated films, have you even gotten to see them, and if you have, what do you think of them?
Well, I don't get to see much. I don't get to see much because this is self-serving, but it's the truth. They bore me. In other words, I think the level of animation is great in a lot of the films. I mean, just beautiful to look at, and the technology is amazing. But I'm an adult, and halfway through the films, if I'm not with my kids or something, I kind of get bored. So I don't see too much animated films. Once I do watch some Japanese films, animation, that are spectacular. I love them very much, but they also they deal with more ideas than American films do. And in my day, it was interesting. No one knows this, but in my day, when I was animating as a kid, and all the adults were animating, the guys that animated the stuff they were animating never looked at it. You see, they too were bored. Could you imagine? This is interesting. Imagine doing films and hating to see it. No one went to see feature films in my days. We didn't watch our television programs with the Deputy Dogs. No one watched what they did because it was stupid. So what I'm saying is that's an indication of how wrong it is. And that's the truth. When I looked at that as a young man, I realized that if no one's going to see what they make, it must be pretty bad.
Yeah, you're making a good point, actually, because I've noticed today, not just with the animated films, but the live action films also, the really, really good ones, the ones that really stand, not the Star Wars size or anything, but all the really good, like the superhero films and all of those, they're made from my generation, the ones that grew up with Wizards and like the Lord of the Rings and all the movies that came out back then. And because we liked those things, I think that love translates into the films that they do today, and you can see it up on the screen. So yeah, you're right.
Exactly. Let me tell you something else about Wizards and what it's done to Hollywood should love Wizards and thank Wizards. Wizards 1 got me to do Lord of the Rings 1, which got Peter Jackson to do the trilogy. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't do Wizards. That got me when Peter Jackson saw Lord of the Rings, my Lord of the Rings, he decided to make the movies, which made billions. So Wizards brought billions into the industry. If it wasn't, Peter Jackson wouldn't have made Lord of the Rings, because I wouldn't have made Lord of the Rings if I didn't do Wizards. So Wizards is responsible for an awful lot of good stuff in Hollywood.
And that sort of leads to the final question I have for you is, how do you want people in future generations to remember Ralph Bakshi? Not just your films, but you, the person.
Me, the person?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that. That's hard to say. I'm just a cartoonist. I got a big mouth. I love to have fun with people. I love people. I'm having a good time. If you remember me about anything, remember that I work very hard not to sell out. Each man's got to decide what selling out means for himself. I'm not telling you. And that you got to follow what's in your head and stop listening to all these people telling you what's good or bad. That if I'm here to say anything, do what you feel as opposed to do what people are telling you to feel, especially if you're an artist. Doesn't mean it's going to work out for you all the time. I'm not, but that's what I want to be remembered for, a guy who just fought for what he wanted and won a few and lost a few, but who cares? Here I am, you know. We're all leaving the scene sooner or later. All of us, me, Spielberg. You might as well try to do what you want. So I remembered for that, and then I was a cartoonist. I love being a cartoonist. I'm very proud of the art form.